to take this opportunity to thank the medical staff and everyone at URMC. They have really been terrific. Both officers 2 and 3 have been with the Rochester Police Department for 7 years. A fourth officer was involved in firing shots at the suspect. She was not struck. She has been with the Rochester Police Department for 6 years, and she has been temporarily placed on administrative assignment, as is our normal procedure in these instances. The civilian victim that we mentioned Friday night was struck multiple times in the upper body by the suspect. He is currently also being treated at Strong Hospital for serious injuries. The female victim in the incident, who lives at the location 605 Charlie Avenue, was physically uninjured. She had children with her at the house that night. They were also uninjured. The suspect has been identified as 38-year-old Eric Davis, a City of Rochester resident. At the time of the incident, Mr. Davis had an active arrest warrant for aggravated harassment in the second degree. That is a misdemeanor. Usually aggravated harassment is a charge when you threaten someone telephonically or use electronic means to threaten someone. This warrant stems from an incident in October during which he allegedly called the female victim and threatened to hurt her. The October incident, combined with an incident in July in which he allegedly told her that he was going to put a bullet in her head, led her to receiving an order of protection against him. His criminal history includes a 2005 conviction for burglary in the third degree. Davis was shot at least once in the upper body. Officers did perform medical care on scene, however, he was deceased at the scene. He was found to be in illegal possession of a .40 caliber Glock handgun that had been fired to lockback position, which means it had been fired until it was empty. There was no more ammunition in the gun. Ballistic evidence at the scene preliminarily indicates that Davis fired at least 4 times on Charlie Avenue, striking 2 officers and the civilian victim. Evidence also indicates that he fired at least 3 times on Thurston Road, striking the 3rd officer and then a tree that the 4th officer had sought cover behind. The civilian victim legally possessed a .30 caliber Smith & Wesson handgun. Ballistic evidence at the scene preliminarily indicates he fired at least 6 times on Charlie Avenue. It is again important to remember that this is all preliminary information subject to change. We had 2 crime scenes. It was a very big area. Obviously, we worked the scene that night and into the day on Saturday, trying to collect everything. The investigation is ongoing. We will continue to release more information as the investigation continues. We will be releasing the body-worn camera footage. I don't have a time frame for that yet, but we will release it as we normally do. I would like to take this opportunity again to thank all of the partner agencies. I think it's very remarkable and speaks to the relationships that we have, that we're fortunate to have in this county. As I was rolling up to the crime scene, I was passing cars from Greece, from Brighton, from Webster, from Gates, from the sheriffs, from the state police, on scene helping us out that night. I think what is also remarkable and speaks to the professionalism of this department is that by 3 a.m. that night, after I'd left the hospital and came back here and was working with the command staff, I had the radio on, and you could already hear that by 5 a.m. all of our partner agencies had left, and the Rochester Police Department was once again conducting business as usual, taking calls, taking care of the citizens of Rochester. It's 5 hours after 3 officers had been shot. We were back in the saddle, we were at it, and our partner agencies had gone home. And if that's not professionalism, I don't know what is. We have had some questions about what a domestic incident actually entails, and I mean, there's criteria obviously we use, but in general, family trouble calls, domestic calls that we respond to, we handle about 6,000 a year. So that's 16 to 17, between 15 and 20 every day. About 60% of those are criminal related. So obviously, a lot of our work has to do with domestic disputes. Domestic disputes, family troubles, along with traffic stops are two of the most dangerous things that we do. Not only in this instance is there was a firearm involved, but I mean, think about it. Officers are going into people's homes to try and mediate these things, make an arrest if necessary. You know, those officers are on someone else's home turf. The folks that live there, they know the environment. They know where possible weapons are. They know what they're going to do or not do. And it's something that, you know, again, when you're doing this job, you can't take anything for granted. You have to be on your toes 100% of the time. With that, I'm going to hand it over to Jeff Wader. He's the president of Locust Club. He's going to make a few comments.
Thank you, Chief. I'll keep it short and sweet. These are very challenging times. We have, as the proud president of the Rochester Police Locust Club, we represent about 600 men and women on a daily basis. And that's our responsibility, to make sure that they have the best representation, but also that we take care of them. And when I say challenging times, nobody wants to get that phone call anytime saying that you have an officer injured, officer shot, or worse, 3 officers shot. Our responsibility, and I can't thank people enough for the outpouring of support that we've received for these officers and their families. It's been overwhelming, and we thank you greatly for all the outpouring of support. It's been a difficult weekend. Not only any time of the year, no one ever wants to hear this or have an incident like this happen, but it's Christmas time. And these officers have families, they have children, they have parents and spouses, and it makes it more difficult, especially this time of year. I would like to thank not only the members of the Rochester Police Department, their co-workers, the Major Crimes Unit, everybody that's been so supportive in doing their job to try to help these officers in this very difficult time. But the outpouring of support that we've received from our other agencies, the fire department, everybody has reached out to us saying, what can we do to help? I want to pass along this message as well, too. It's been difficult. It's been tough to see them at the hospital, but I want to thank the staff at Strong Hospital. Having 100 cops come through the door on a Friday night is difficult as it is, and trying to deal with cops is sometimes difficult as well. But they were just so supportive, so understanding. They opened up their doors for us. They gave us every accommodation we can imagine, and the care that our members have received has been very, very incredibly helpful, and I can't thank them enough for everything they've done. What I would also pass along, that if anyone wants to send a card or anything like that, we can get the contact information as to where to mail that to. I know that the officers and their families would greatly appreciate that. So, having said that, I would just like to thank everyone for all their support, and please say a prayer to make sure that not only physically but emotionally that these officers can get through this very traumatic incident. Thank you.
Thank you, Jeff. Thank you, Chief. Just let me say that as the leader of this city, these are the worst calls that you can get because your mind immediately goes to the worst possible scenario. And when the chief called me, we didn't know all of the details yet. First 2 officers, then we found out it was 3. And if you remember, that night, it was freezing cold, it was windy, but I want to applaud the men and women of the Rochester Police Department who, during this time when they had one of their colleagues, 3 of their colleagues, shot, were still securing the scene in the cold and rain and wind, when their thoughts were with their colleagues. And all of our partners that were on the scene, I thank all of our partners, including the New York State Police and everyone that showed up. And I said to someone over the weekend, I said, for me, people said, how are you feeling about this? I said, think about how you would feel if you worked at a company or a nonprofit organization and people that you work with were shot we had 3 individuals shot in cold blood. I know the chief mentioned about the body-worn camera footage, and I know that's going to be forthcoming. I will say that it was very harrowing footage to see, and it really is tough to watch. Tough to watch people being shot at while they're doing their job securing the community. And then I also want to add, and I know I'm going to turn it over to Megan in a second, domestic violence is everybody's business. It has a human cost that you probably have no idea the cost that it has until you see something like this. But officers see this every day. As the chief said, over 6,000 calls. 6,000 calls related to domestic violence, and it's like a pebble. And in this pebble, it was more like a nuclear bomb that went off. This is one of the largest crime scenes I've ever seen. I don't come on crime scenes much, but when I do, it's usually for something like this. When one of our employees or a police officer are injured, I want to be supportive because they serve our city. These are servants. So it's important for me to show up and to be there. And the size of this scene, the temperatures outside, the neighbors that had to endure hearing gunshots, the children that had to witness hearing gunshots. This is the cost of domestic violence. We have 3 officers, and we often say non-life-threatening injuries. But non-life-threatening injuries, ladies and gentlemen, are not life-altering injuries. Anybody shot, even if you survive, you're never the same again. And this is what domestic violence can do. This is People's Exhibit A on what domestic violence can do. And we'll have more conversations in the days and weeks ahead on things that we can do to try to prevent individuals who continuously are involved with domestic violence, not just in this case, but in others. Conversations around order of protection, what the courts do. All those are important conversations for us to have in the weeks and days ahead. But right now, what I ask Rochester to do is to put yourself in the shoes of these families and their colleagues around this is the holiday season, as was said, and I ask that you pray for these officers. I ask that you pray for our city. I ask that you pray for our department. This should not be normalized, and we need to make sure that right now we support our city more so than ever before, because we have people who put their lives on the line to keep our community safe. And then I want to add, as we go throughout the holiday season, Christmas Eve is coming up, New Year's is coming up, I ask that families have conversations about what it means to have safe, healthy relationships. Because one decision can lead to what we saw on Friday night. It's People's Exhibit A. And communities deserve safety. Our officers deserve safety. They know they have to run to danger. But because that's their job, it still doesn't make it right. It still doesn't make it right. They don't come in the roll call every day and plan to be shot at. It's not normal. It's not right. And we have to be clear on that. But again, I ask that you pray for the families. I thank the chief and all of the members of the Rochester Police Department for their leadership during this difficult time. And with that, I'll turn it over to Megan View from Willow Domestic Violence, and then the chief will come back up and take any questions. Megan.
Thank you, Mayor, and everyone. I am here today to speak on behalf of our incredible team at Willow of advocates supporting survivors, in support of our partners here who do this incredible work on the front lines, saving lives every day, and to make sure survivors in our community know that you are not alone. There are resources here for you. This kind of incident is 100% preventable. And if we as a community can come together in real ways, including those Christmas Eve conversations the mayor just referenced, let's talk about what relationships look like. Let's talk about how people are doing. Let's try to be there for each other in different ways and have those hard conversations so we don't end up with the kind of hard conversation we're having today. Our hearts are heavy following this weekend's DV-related shooting in our community. We extend our deepest compassion to the survivor, to the responding officers, to their families, and to every person touched by this tragedy. We are standing here once again, confronted with preventable violence and profound trauma. Incidents like this do not affect only one person or one family. This violence creates a ripple effect that moves through our households, our first responders, our neighborhoods, the entire community. For survivors and those with lived experience of domestic violence, events like this, reading about it on the news, seeing those images, can resurface fear, grief, and trauma from their own experience. This moment is painful and it is heavy for many who have worked so hard to feel safe. We know domestic violence is a public safety issue. It does not stay behind closed doors, and when it escalates, it becomes a public safety issue that impacts everyone, including law enforcement and all emergency responders and neighbors and communities. DV is the most dangerous call for officers, and we commend the responding officers for their bravery and courage for rushing in. Their actions, no doubt, saved multiple lives, including the survivor and the children in the home. This could have been significantly worse. What happened this weekend underscores how deeply interconnected survivor safety and community safety truly are. Survivor safety and offender accountability are critically important in preventing tragedies like this. We must take a closer look at our systems and what happens when accountability is delayed or denied. This moment calls for stronger coordination and systems that center survivor safety before the danger escalates. We believe in solutions that can bring partners together, from law enforcement to the courts, to advocates at Willow and community services, to reduce the gaps where people can fall through. For survivors who may be watching or listening, I just want to make sure that you know that you are not alone, that Willow is here. We provide confidential, trauma-informed services, including safety planning, emergency shelter if you need to escape your home if it's not safe, housing advocacy, counseling, and ongoing support. Help is available, and no one has to navigate these situations alone. As we process this trauma, we must also care for one another. If you or someone you know is experiencing abuse, our 24/7 hotline is available to help you with safety planning and exploring options when you're ready. And when you call our hotline, you're connected to a team of advocates that can walk with you through every step of your journey and help you navigate these systems that are often complex, often difficult to find your way through, and to know what you and your family need in those moments. But we're here for you. You are not alone. Confidential help is available 24 hours a day. This weekend's news may have brought up fear, grief, and memories that you've been carrying quietly. We want you to know that we're here for you. If you're feeling unsafe, unsure, or overwhelmed, even if you're not yet ready to make a change, you just want to talk about what's going on, we are here. When you call, we will walk alongside you. We will not force you or pressure you or convince you to leave or do anything you're not comfortable with. You are the expert in your own life, but we will provide resources and safety planning and support for you as you navigate this. When you decide the time is right, we can help with court advocacy, counseling, housing support, safety planning, help for your pets, and so much more. Support's available on your terms and when you're ready. We are here to listen, to support you. We're here with you, survivors of domestic violence and your families. And we want to, again, commend the incredible partnerships in this community. Monroe County and Rochester is a very special place where we may see significant incidences of domestic violence, 6,000 calls to 911, 6,000 reports for RPD, 40,000 calls to 911, 13,000 calls to Willow Center's hotline. People are reaching out for support in record-breaking numbers. And I think that's largely in part to the incredible community response you see right here behind me. My team is here on the floor too, and we are here to stand together and support survivors in these most critical times. Our hearts, again, go out to the family of the deceased, to the survivor, to her children, to her family, to the officers and their families. Their bravery was incredible. And as I understand it, many of them were fairly new to the force, and just to be able to jump into that scene and know that they are there to save lives and protect survivors, we are so very grateful for their service. Thank you.
Thank you, Megan. I will do my best to take a few questions.
Do you have an update on the status of the officers that are still in the hospital, how they're doing, if they're expected to recover fully?
So they are both One is in stable condition. The other is in stable yet still critical condition. They both have surgeries coming up in the coming week.
Are you able to differentiate this officer two in stable?
Let's see. Well, based on what I've given, so no, it's no. All right.
Chief, how many, you talked about the number of shots fired by the others involved. Have you been able to figure out how many shots were fired by police officers during this?
We have an idea. You know, we like to go back over everything a few times and make sure that we're certain before I release that. And I remind everyone that the Attorney General's office will be investigating this as well, as will the Professional Standards section.
Is the order of protection actively in place against Davis when the incident happened?
The order of protection was issued in October, and it was active. Okay.
Chief, what kind of,
Last one.
I see you're very emotional, and that's obviously understandable, but can you just, what goes through your mind as the chief when you are put into a situation like this with some of your officers?
Well, I mean, obviously, of course, there's the not knowing. I've said many times I know exactly where I was and what I was doing when Deputy Chief Shaw called and told me that Tony Mazurkowitz had been shot. I remember everything from that night. Just, where were you when the World Trade Center? It's the same thing. So, this Friday night, again, I had just finished my nighttime prayers, and I'd asked God to watch over the RPD as I do every night. And I wholly believe He did, because everybody made it through. But yeah, the deputy chief called me, and then we get. It's not like on TV where immediately everybody knows everything. So you're trying to get what information you can without interfering with the folks that are on the scene actively working it. So first we'd heard 2 officers, then we heard 3, and so I mean, again, credit to the boots on the ground. By the time the command staff and I got in, because it takes us a little bit to get here, they really had both scenes locked down. The officers were already in the hospital. I was able to be at the scene very briefly, and then went up to the hospital to the family waiting room. So, but I mean, ultimately, as I watch, I think, is this something I could have done as chief to better prepare them? Is it something we need to do better as a department? Or is this, and again, we will, in the coming weeks and days, obviously, and I've said it many times before, as great as we are, we can always do better. So we're going to find out what we could have done better on this, and we're going to make sure everybody knows it, because I want to try and make this safer for everyone every day that goes on here. But, yeah, I mean, nobody loves their folks more than I do, so it makes it very challenging. Okay, thank you, everybody.
Jordan said he wanted to go early, like quarter till.
Okay.
Yes, although I need to find. Still critical. I'm talking about. No, it definitely weren't here. Oh yeah, I got it from my charger. I have. Or better. Okay, we can. Okay. Oh. Unless you have.
10.